We have to get good at saying it without saying it for a second and being blunt about what we are saying while we're saying it. Because, yeah, we've been talking about narcissism, the state of the world, religion, biology. When we bring up things like structures that are implemented potentially for our demise, that's dangerous stuff, right? We have to be really careful with this next one. Because do you realize that weed was brought about, or we were allowed access to it legally, at the same time as assisted suicide was introduced? And that being in a more serotonergic state can lead to suicidal ideation, increased depression, a feeling of helplessness, and an inability to solve your own problems. And that in the exact same way as men have tried to keep, and my mother, she's the one who mailed it to my government postal box, remember? That I never actually had weed in my possession until my mother was trying to debase my structure. Why? Oh, it was the same year that I'd come across an article about narcissism, narcissistic parenting, and what happens through time, the effects that propagate in a being's development. And that's when she wanted me to have weed in my body. When she'd been smoking it since she was 14, she'd been feeding me caffeine for decades, terrorizing my process, but I had told her that I had discovered spirituality at the same time as discovering the psychology end. That's top end, right? Yeah, that I had actually found the answers for myself. This was a decade ago. Almost to the day. Yeah, so if there are power structures in play that want to introduce access to things like substances for the purpose of tuning your vibe to a certain frequency that they can. And if I'm talking about the most powerful people in the world modeling it for the people that then follow suit in the narcissistic tendencies, right? Because narcissism seems to be the prevalent, especially in the West. That's malevolent. That gets very, very dark. I had been thinking about the men that I have experienced, and what mind is, overstimulation, right? Like when you only have that part of the process. And I've gone through the Hasidic stories about Yahweh, right? And the way that they behaved out of Egypt when having a balanced process, having Yashra still be a part of the no, they weren't allowing that. Why? Why? I think it's because that part of our being is the one that goes, why? Asks the questions, considers. When Karen Carpenter had gotten out of the hospital, she was feeling good. Like, she had already had lunch, and then she got the driver to stop for a taco. She already had a dinner date set up. She was hungry. She was in a good space. The first time she threw up after that was during dinner with her brother, Richard. Her mother was a narcissist. Her brother was also. So the kind of familial abuse that I experienced, there may have been more of a reason that I was attracted to that woman. And eventually, in my 30s, that story. Because actually, was she an amazing being? She was not just a good drummer. She was a world-renowned, some people said, the best drummer in the world at the time. And to this day, people say she was the best voice. So as far as an expression goes, incredible. Who was not letting her receive? Who interrupted her marriages? And actually, I think it was Richard who convinced her husband to get his tubes tied. So that she wanted children so bad. She wanted to experience life. That ended not only her marriage, he also ended her expression of her own music. Like, if you've ever heard the album, it's good. It's like mad disco vibe. It's so fun. I want to roller skate to it. But why was I 37 years old before I heard it for the first time? Why was that expression cancelled when it was exquisite? I feel very much that her family wanted to puppet her and use her energy as their mouthpiece, right? Like the song that I'll Say Goodbye to Love, that was rejiggered so that it's very much like the guitar solo at the end. It's just shoving his dick into her mouth, like, she was on, what was it called? Synthroid. This is supposed to be your thyroid, supposed to be your expression. This is, as much as this is, control over where your hormones are going, how you're able to tune your own music expression. She killed herself with Ipecac. Ipecac actually stops your mitochondrial expression, motion, so your regeneration. So at the same time as she was taking, what was it? Laxatives, I can't remember the name now. But she was saying she was taking like 100 at a time. What? Yeah, like her GI tract was really fucked up by the time she had been admitted to the hospital. As in, she wasn't allowed to take anything in, and she wasn't allowed to express any of her own meaning. What does that do to a being over time? It throttles them in every dimension of their experience. I was going to look up today, how long was it between her brother canceling her album and her death? I still haven't. I'm going to. When you have a world, an entire world potentially, that is stuck in yaw, stuck in mind, and feels like everything else is bad and needs to be fought. Why? Because when things get bad enough, like if you have worn out your bottle too much, you end up feeling like you need a cup of coffee. Like the lady who's like clumping into the kitchen and over the hedge to reach for the coffee because she's just so fucking wrung out. That's the state that powers that be, whether it's parents, romantic partners, the government, they want you in. Because that's a state that's easy to control, easy to get you to be a flying monkey, be nothing but a node in their process, right? It's an overtaking. I had mentioned that the lithosphere was being bombed, literally, during the time of the boomers' development. They didn't need to do that with Gen A. Wi-Fi and iPads and, all Monster, all the other overstimulating, getting you out of your own ability to process things correctly relative to your own sweet self. Yeah, if that's disrupted enough, Wi-Fi can make me angry. And I hadn't actually noticed until this past week how much out of my process, if my head is directly in that stream, I literally need to go outside and touch a tree to be able to think again. And now that it's not 3G, it's 5G, our phones, there are a lot of people squawking about this might be dangerous as far as cancer goes, about as far as your ability to express your own self relative to disruption. If we come to understand what cancer actually is, what our own process, metabolism, macabre, consciousness, comprehension, neurogenesis, things like this, you have to be able to do it on purpose for yourself and with understanding, or else you are not rendering epigenetically relative to yourself properly, right? That's a theft of life, of your own process, of your own ability to actually be yourself in the world. I'm bringing this up because my mom tried to cut off every point of access to the point of my internet, to the point of it's been 12 years, I'm pretty sure she's actually been in my email, that the last time I went to reset my Facebook, it notified me that parental controls would be told that I had her ex-boyfriend, the one she accused me of trying to steal from her. I think the reason why she had gotten him to be on my computer, he said he was going to clear my cache. I think he noticed who I actually was when he went through my computer. And that's where the crush came from, right? She still had access for the next 12 years. But so did he. Which is why he got the fuck away from her. I just looked up what patron, actually, it's supposed to mean patron, right? But there's a version where it means the boss. She wanted to be the boss so bad because the children had said, oh yeah, that's our mom, but Maureen's the boss. The reason why was I was being responsible and taking accountability for our entire family. I was the reason the house was getting cleaned. I was the one paying for tickets so that they would have access to go see, right? I was the one who was making sure that they had some kind of process, because what was Kelly doing? Anytime there was a birthday, anytime there was a special event, anytime there was she was climbing on top of all of us to try and have it for herself. Like, I never got to go shopping with the teens in my youth group because she took us to Galaxyland for the first time we've ever done anything together to tell me about how she felt like she didn't have enough of her own youth. Yes, she did. She had her entire youth. She was 25 by the time she had me. She had no interruption. She had absolute complete freedom, fully supported by her parents, her siblings, and everyone around her. And then she wanted more, right? When we went to Skirific, she had dressed me up as Mystique because I had picked up that physics textbook from the first one. Part of it was I was attracted to Jean Grey. Why? How much of my consciousness was being closed down for someone else's? Let's gentle her, let's pleasant her, So was the Phoenix actually eventually going to be a story that resonated with me? Yes, if I'd ever been allowed to see it, encounter it, honestly. So she wanted to change it. No, you're like this, right? It was the first time that she had ever helped me, but she had already been not trimming my hair when I'd asked her for help for like 4 years by that point, while getting me to pluck her eyebrows and wax her legs and take care of her, right? It was supposed to be a rejiggering of any kind of energy that I have to and for her. So why was she so motivated to do that? Because she wanted to reskin me. That night, when we were at the costume competition, I actually won the snowboard, which I then was not allowed to have. Why? Because she had already, the school that she had sent me to for like 6 months and pulled me back out of because the kids were missing me, and she thought it was giving me some kind of esteem, right? Some kind of power, while also realizing that she couldn't take care of the house, wouldn't take care of the house, that it was actually a lot of work to take care of her own kids. So she was trying to deface me. The song that they got us to sing, that eventually the entire stadium of people had clapped for me, which is how I won the snowboard, because I'd actually won with the costume the first time, and the teachers decided, oh no, that can't be. And so they got us to sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I didn't understand what that song might be meaning as far as experience process of being a blue person, blah, blah, blah. Not until a Doja Cat song was like, I don't want to row, row, row the boat. Thank you. Back bend till I touch my damn toes. I'm going to be in my own process. Thank you. I literally wondered if that chick was made by AI, because like there is so much about that process of how she has been antagonized. And then finally just, you know what, fuck you. I'm going to just do it. I'm not a statue in the garden. I'm going to just actually be my own process. That's why I'm doing all this work. It should be why any of us are doing any of our work, is to experience our process and experience life, get to learn relative to ourselves. Yeah, and then that night, I wasn't even allowed to snowboard. She made me use snowblades with her so that I wasn't allowed to talk to any of the kids. Like, that is a cancel of experience, but I sure did have to play the part through the performance of so that she could have the experience from me, including in the only photo we have of that night. She has my little brother who was dressed up as Wolverine. There's one photo where we all look kind of confused because she has some kind of little script play thing that she's trying to put on us, and she's getting him to be stabby at me. I'm 16 in that photo. She had already canceled the next year of musical theater by reskinning my expression. I wasn't allowed to be Pocahontas or Land Before Time anymore, because both of those had won excellence the year before and had triggered her. Holy shit. That was like the end of my life. Absolutely, but I didn't have comprehension of why the next 3 years of my life were hell. Oh, next 3 years, the rest of my life, pretty much. But the next 3 years were bad. It was because she thought it was some kind of opposition to her when I'm talking about schizophrenia and psychosis, and how people, when they get talked to like that, my boyfriend then did that with the shade names of cosmetics, right? Like things that I purchased. He would then look at the mimetic meaning that could potentially be, and be, oh, it's about me. It's, right? No, I like that color. No, I just haven't ever had an Urban Decay palette because my expression has been so throttled, and so I had purchased one, realized it was a knockoff, and so I had put it into my other palette. And he thought all of this was like Kelly, some sort of mimetic script play expression of, here, look at this, as I'm trying to stank you with it. I didn't drink enough tea until this past year to actually have my brain go there enough to even comprehend the things that they were trying to get life off of by opposing me and what they perceived as my opposition to them, right? When you cannot see past your own projections, you cannot know another being at all. You can't understand the things that are coming out of their mouths because you're too busy trying to, she's trying to. What if that being is just being? What if you're the one just trying to, on top of and in opposition to everyone and everything else around you? Like I said, I understand where this stuff comes from. My ex, literally, I think had schizophrenia due to the fact that he could not process things, and I think it was from video games. Not only was he neurodivergent, he had hypermobility, I believe. But when you sit in this posture, you are cutting off all of the top, and all you have left is set, right? All you have left is this part of your brain. There's actually your brainstem goes like this, right? Your cerebellum is a separate thing. So you can have one brain if you are maintaining one posture. And video games actually reshape, if you spend an extended period of time, and who doesn't, in that posture, and are you thinking about your own corporality while you're busy getting headshots? No, you're not. Which means, again, environmental shape, trigger, whatever. So do we know what we're doing as we're participating? Most of us, absolutely not. Absolutely not. His eyeballs are like half out of his head. His mother was feeding him tea out of a baby bottle as he was doing this stuff, right? She was codependent. His father was narcissistic. How do you be anything else relative to all of that? So again, he is being sued. There is absolutely litigation that is going to happen due to the level of disruption. But is it fault? Or was that process taught? And did he even have any other option? He was attracted to me in a similar way that I was attracted to him, in that I could tell the neurodivergence, right? He was always talking about things like my feet, how he liked that and he didn't like that his didn't have shape. You have to consciously maintain your arches, right? Especially if you have hypermobility. So he knew. My last boyfriend would come to all the right answers, but because his mother was codependent too, he would talk himself out of the real true solutions that he had come to because they maybe didn't make him feel good enough. Why was his mother teaching him that? So that she could be a point of feeling to make him feel good, which is another form of control. As in, the patterning that I suffered from out of these people was taught, trained, conditioned. How do you get out of that if there is nothing that you're allowed to listen to because someone else goes, oh, let me explain what she's actually like, what she's actually trying to, right? So even a potential source or point of consciousness that is in the world then be something you can't hear, can't see, can't perceive, because it's been reshaped, reskinned, recolored to something other people prefer so that they can have power over you and them, but over you.